Have you seen this picture? Then you know exactly what these things are. And I'm going to tell you how this is the face of a future franchise. Be not afraid. Hi, my name's Alex and I'm currently a games development student, and this is my first devlog and the beginning of the first key stage to releasing my very first game, Into the Woods. For context, the current videos on my channel are all trailers that I made around 2 years ago for an A-level project for graphic design. And in my eyes, this was the true beginning of what started this whole idea to create a horror franchise in the first place. All of this is going to be centered around biblically accurate angels. So hopefully if you're watching this video, then you're somewhat interested in them. For a little background, I've been doing basic games development for around a year now, having finished one small mini game called Press Space to Jump. This was a little 3D platform hopper where you play as a little spaceship, you're trying to navigate space, and you can only go up or down, funnily enough, using the fucking spacebar. The core mechanic is using a limited fuel supply. I've lost most of the files related to it, unfortunately, but it is still playable through Unity. I will try to link it below. If there's no link, it means I can't find it whatsoever, but it's really not a loss because I'm not here to waffle about space games. I'm here to talk about horror. The second game, following Press Space to Jump, that I began making about this time last year, this last summer, followed the end of my A-levels and was the beginning of the first real development towards my final goal of building this franchise. This was also done in Unity, but after around 1 month or so of the development of this second game, I only completed 3/5 of it and I found myself becoming distracted. For some context, I used to work as a Fiverr ghostwriter and have been on the platform Fiverr for around 3 years, doing around 120 stories for a whole range of clients since, but following a sudden boost in AI writing capabilities around 2 years ago, I discovered that Fiverr was not going to be a sufficient source of income anymore. I went from doing around 15 to 20 orders a month back in the December of 2022 to just 1 or 2 at the beginning of 2023. This wasn't exactly catastrophic for me, as I know how badly it has affected other people, as I was only 17 at the time. I was able to get another job working at a pub instead, and I was fine. However, as A-levels came to an end, this is where I found myself coming across a whole lot more free time, which led to the first iteration of Be Not Afraid. However, I would prefer to use the whole first game experience as an experience and keep it at that, rather than as an actual product, as this was all completely self-taught, and to be honest, it's hardly a game. But what it did do was teach me how to teach myself, and definitely covered the general theme I intended to do. But as summer neared an end, something new came about. I'd done 1 or 2 orders total over the summer before that, but suddenly got a request from a channel I'd done a script for around a year previously. They were offering me a part-time position as a script writer for their YouTube channel. Finally seeing an option to get some consistent work, I happily took it up and found myself a job that actually paid and was still, and still is, incredibly enjoyable. However, one thing this did mean is that all the extra time I had gained from no longer having A-levels was now very quickly being consumed again, pushing all my time away from game dev, so the project I'd been working on for months soon died out, with me not touching it for around 4 months before the creation of this video. It seemed to me that my passion had been swallowed up by reality and there was no hope of returning to it, except for uni. Uni now held something incredibly important for me and my future career. It held the chance to refocus and get the other side of self-learning, the higher quality side. Having used YouTube videos to self-teach myself up until that point, as my graphics course didn't really cover how to use Blender, etc., it appeared to me that uni held the promise of real dedicated learning, which I hoped would exponentially speed up my progress in game development. Fortunately, and to my relief, having just dropped my job at the pub, now only doing script writing and game development, I was in fact able to entirely refocus my life back to game development. And after just a few weeks of starting uni, the spark finally returned. I began working double the amount of time, more than I ever have in my life, and now do script writing and game development equally. So far, I have built an endless runner, prototyped a Castle Siege style of game, and most importantly, began work on my main project, Into the Woods. And I've been making a pitch deck for a game concept that focuses on environmentalism. That's more for coursework though. I'd say I've reached a point in my learning with Unreal Engine 5 and have enough understanding of the game pipeline to begin the foundations of Be Not Afraid, properly this time. Ready to build it up game by game. I've decided to take this approach instead of the I'm going to build my dream game, as I feel my aspirations for what I want to achieve will not be possible if I try to squeeze it all into one game, without dedicating years of my life to it, of course. All for the sake of a game that most likely, being my first game, would not be a commercial success, and I have no intention of doing this as a hobby only. Instead, I'm going to take an approach where, by starting off with smaller and simpler games, such as Into the Woods, I will be able to gain experience of producing producing games, and even if the first few do not perform, I currently do not have any need for them to do so, as I have a 3-year grace period before these games need to be outputting enough income for me to go full time. This is a hell of a lot less pressure and makes the project as a whole far more feasible. I do not want to be another case of I had big dreams followed by I gave up. As long as the journey remains going upwards, I will feel content knowing I am building a dream rather than hoping for one to come true. Now for the fun part. Biblically accurate angels. 2 years ago, I was scrolling through TikTok. All of a sudden, I get a video come up. I will put it on the screen because I'm not gonna lie, I do not know how to say the name. But it set off something. It set off something in my mind that I was like, holy fucking shit, this is cool. Prior to that, I was looking to be a graphic designer, I transferred schools specifically to take graphic design at A-level because my previous school didn't have it. But I found I was quickly losing interest in it. And the same year that I started my graphics A-level, AI again appeared as a significant issue. Seeing the capabilities of AI developing at an exponential rate, starting to fucking, generate the pictures and shit, I immediately decided that my future would not be secure if I relied on graphic design as a career. Then comes about visual scripting. Back when choosing my GCSEs, I'd begun watching Danny, as I'm sure all of us have, and for about 1 week, I dreamed of being a game developer. I chose computing GCSE, hoping to appeal to this dream, and then found out I was shit at coding. I gave up instantly, but 5 years later, and here I am, back again, and this time, I actually know something to do with how to build the game, rather than just imagining building the game. And this is all due to visual scripting, meaning I can and could successfully begin to create games, and it was no longer a dream. Following all of this, I now return to the video, the one that sparked it all. Feeling myself drawn to this new type of horror, I decided to focus my entire A-level on creating the trailers posted around 2 weeks ago. To make these, I used Blender and self-taught myself at using YouTube, which I found significantly easier than delving into YouTube game dev tutorial hell. Now, with all the foundations in place, this is how I view biblically accurate angels and why they are going to be the central image to this horror franchise. I would like to make a disclaimer. This does not in any way seek to comment on religion. I am simply taking things from the Bible from an objective perspective, wishing to use the ancient beings as the centerpiece of a new style of cosmic horror known as the Winerific. Biblically accurate angels, when first looked at, produce a sense of dread. Yet they should be objectively good and therefore harmless, right? Absolutely fucking not. I took the idea of angels looking horrific to scare off demons to being the very horrors themselves. I developed a storyline and wrote a book on it called Be Not Afraid, and explored the idea of whoever controls heaven gets to control the very perception of good and evil. For centuries, since this universe is, again, fictional, God has been in power, these angels have been depicted as good and devils as evil, when in reality, this is just a mask. Neither are good or evil, they are simply beyond the concept altogether. However, there is a reason the angels were created to be more powerful and far more fucking terrifying than the demons, and it is not just to scare them off, but to instate a certain will. In this universe, I intend to take this fundamental aspect and transfuse it into the Lovecraftian horror, the horror of the unknown, combined with the horror of the Winerific, which is defined as something being both terrifying and beautiful. So, to conclude, Be Not Afraid is going to be a franchise. The first iteration is going to come through the medium of Into the Woods. We take the perspective of someone encountering this entity, the biblically accurate angel, and being tortured by it for all of eternity. But for what purpose? My first set of devlogs are going to be based on this game, and I aim to finish it as quickly and as soon as possible. It's simple. I've made it this way because I want to progress quickly.
Hi, it is Alex in editing mode. I don't know what happened to the last bit of audio, so I'm redoing the ending. Thank you all so much for watching. I've just edited this video. It took me a lot longer than I expected, but I'm happy with it. And I would also like to use this to announce that I've got a trailer coming for Into the Woods. And I hope to get it done hopefully before Christmas, but I will let you guys know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.